As you might have guessed it, we're gonna be continuing with the state of Vermont. It is a state populated by around 650,000 people and bordering the three American states of New York, New Hampshire and Massachusetts, as well as the Canadian state of Quebec. Let's get started directly with the capital city. We are then gonna be moving to cities like Burlington and well, that's about it. No, actually there are a couple of other cities that we are gonna be looking at, so without further ado, let's get started. Montpelier is a smallish town and capital city of Vermont, located right in the middle of the state. It is also located very close to another smallish town called Bear and make up metropolitan area, if we can call it that way, even though it's pretty small places, of around 60,000 people. As it is the state capital, it has way more jobs than inhabitants, and its actual population in the daytime increases to about 25,000 people. An interesting fact about the city is that over 17% of its population commute by either bike or foot to get to their place of work. It is actually quite impressive for a small rural town like this. Okay, we can see this place has many small shops and quite an impressive amount of not mid-rises but 2 to 3 story buildings, probably with apartments, and here we can see also some beautiful houses, like from probably the beginning of the last century. Because yeah, Montpelier has a rich history of industries, especially in timber, and due to quarries located in the neighboring town of Bear. It had many industries linked with those quarries. So yeah, probably plenty of wealthy people lived there in the past. And it's pretty cool to see that those mansions are still in very good shape, relatively good shape I'd say. This is probably due to the fact that we have still quite a lot of wealthy people living in Montpelier since it's state capital. Wow, okay, interesting. What is this? Maybe this is a museum apparently? Vermont Historical Society Museum, okay. Beautiful. Yeah, lots of quite impressive buildings actually for a small city. Nice park here to the right, I believe. We are gonna see the state capital here. Yes, looks like it. It's a very nice little state capital, like for a small state and small city. What we have here, so we have apparently many official buildings, of course because we are in the state capital. State capitals often have the most interesting architecture in the whole state, because it's often the largest city, but also because there was some effort put into the city to make it look appealing as it's the capital, and also because wealthy people live there. Again, some nice houses, but wow, here we again have a very large official building, apparently for the taxes. So we've pretty much been around the old town, looks like it, maybe not here. Nice church. Yeah, it's pretty dense, because of course it's an old town, so like the houses are actually close to the road. This is cool for an American city. Let's look at some actual neighborhoods. Here we have a little river going on. Yeah, the houses are pretty nice all the way through. Like, honestly, it looks like it's mostly mansions actually. Like, when I talk about mansions, like I mean houses with a distinct architecture, like not just small row houses or single family housing, traditional. But no, they actually have an interesting architecture, like all of them. That's pretty impressive, like for a small city here lost inside of Vermont. So here we are back at where we came. I'm wondering, do they have an actual rail station here? Doesn't look like it. Okay, so they actually have one. I was mistaken. Bit outside the city though. Probably not used a lot. Is this an actual station? Oh yes, maybe it's behind. It really seems like they haven't done anything on this station since the 50s. Yeah, overall, I don't know about the urban planning because it's a very small city, like to rate the urban planning, but the architecture is definitely very solid here. If I was to rate the architecture of Montpelier, I would definitely give it a 9, I think. It's definitely better than over 99% of American small towns, because they have a solid diversity and very interesting buildings actually, but there isn't like a very striking building that would make it go like to the top. Like it isn't a place you're gonna travel to see its architecture, so that's why it's not a 10, but definitely a 9. So this is what small suburbs here looks like in Montpelier. Well, it's maybe not suburbs, but small neighborhoods kind of further away from the old town. Yeah, it's small houses from the 50s, 60s, so it's kind of what I was expecting. Yeah, it's kind of like in Maine, all the houses are made of wood. Only the government buildings are kind of using other materials too, but then everything else, even the older mansions, are like mostly using wood. Let's take a look at the small retail area, maybe it's here. I wanted to look also if they have some parks going on. That's always very important in a city. And it's not always that in the US they get it right with parks. Sometimes honestly they have some cities that are very surprisingly full of green spaces and parks. Like even maybe more than European cities. But also some that definitely are not. So it depends. Okay, so actually this is not retail, this is government department. When I talk about government, of course, I talk about the state government. Okay, they had this park, sorry, in front of the Capitol building. Is this an actual modern building? Looks like it. Okay, yeah, it's interesting that they are building new buildings, new apartment buildings, like in a small town. It's a good sign. People are still coming here. Doesn't look like they have actual parks here. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe like the whole mountain is a park or whatever. You can walk inside of it on some trails. What is this? Maybe high school, I guess. Okay, no, this looks more impressive than a high school, I think. Yeah, it's some state government stuff still. Have a lot of must be a lot of employment in this city actually, like for all those state government stuff. Like some people must be making like some decent amount of money here, I guess. You know, if it's a family of two like highly positioned government workers, they probably are making a good amount of money, but maybe they are not living here just by the city. That's probably true. Okay, so we have a park here. That was what I thought. Like parks inside in the mountains, so that's very good, of course. And it's just like next to the city, so pretty easy to come here, so that's very good for the local people. How is it like? Yeah, okay, it's a bunch of trails and stuff. That's very good. So this, in my opinion, counts as a city park, like, because everyone in the city is benefiting from it. Like, it's not like a park like in a forest 20 kilometers outside of the city. No, this is actually like less than 500 meters from the city, so very good for Montpelier. So there's some retail here and there, but not a lot of retail. That's always good, because honestly, the retail part of small American towns is always by far the worst. So the less you see, the better. Very nice little neighborhood here with small actual shops. Very glad to see this. We also see a surprising amount of old apartment buildings here, in pretty good shape, to be honest. I don't know how popular those are, if people are actually renting those apartments or living inside those. Because you know, in small towns, the real estate is already so cheap that most people who at least have a work can afford to rent a small house actually. So then it got me to talk during a whole 5 minutes about purchasing power and how most people are wrong to think that it's going down, since 50 years ago we were grateful to own a small apartment, while now most people living in a couple where both have at least minimum wage can afford a small house, at least in a medium-sized city. So yeah, that was what I was talking about.